Welcome to Mina's bookshelf for another tarot deck review. This is a new release. It's the Woodland Fairy Tale Tarot Magic, Folklore and Plants, written by Cecilia Lattari, illustrated by Giulia Varetto, and published just in recent times by US Games. They were so gracious to send me a review copy in exchange for an unbiased review. So here I am sharing my thoughts with you. The deck comes in a beautiful keepsake box with magnetic flap. Let's take a look at the beautiful artwork. This is gorgeous. The author is the author of the Zodiac Tarot. You can find a review of this deck on my channel. The creator is new to me, and I totally appreciate her skills and her talents because this artwork is really beautiful. So another look at this beautiful keepsake box. This is a preview of the cards in the back. Tarot cards and fairy tales have sparked the collective imagination for centuries. Through the magic of storytelling, both help us delve into ourselves to search for the deepest meaning. It's a 78 card deck and a 128 page illustrated guidebook. We'll take a look at the guidebook in a moment. This is gorgeous. It's beautiful. Now the cards come in another box. There's a box in a box. It's a tuck box. And the reason why I'm presenting it to you this way is because I found it a little difficult to fit the cards back in this tuck box because it's one of those that have a flap on the bottom as well. So the cards were getting caught in that flap on the bottom, and I just was afraid that the flap would ruin the edges of the card. So, but this is just for your information. This is what you can expect when you open the box. This is placed right here in this cradle with the deck inside. And then we have the actual tarot deck. There is no, at least not in my box, no pull-up string that normally helps you pull decks and books out of these boxes. It's pretty sturdy. This is the deck. It's a pretty chunky one. It's printed on that very glossy, sturdy cardstock. It's the same that has been used for the Zodiac Tarot that I just showed you. These are the backs. They're I don't know if the camera is catching the actual color. In the camera, it looks more bluish than green. It's actually more green than blue. I was actually expecting the backs to have this floral motif. It would have been nice, but that's okay. It's just a minor detail. So as I said, the cardstock is very glossy. As you can see, catches the light. And it's pretty thick. It's nice thickness. So sturdy cards. These are going to last for quite some time. So this deck is based on the idea that fairy tales, tarot, and plants have magic healing powers. They are all laden with magic symbols, with advices and meanings and lessons that will help us explore our subconscious and find guidance in the face of life challenges. So the concept of this deck is a pretty nice one. I'm partial to fairy tales. I'm partial to images that evoke the vibe of children's fairy tale books. The structure, as we will see in a moment, is pretty interesting. Each of the major arcana, the big life lessons, as they call them, corresponds to a fairy tale and a magic plant. So we have 22 different fairy tales, 22 different plants. The fairy tales are the more or less the most renowned ones, the most popular. We have the Brother Grimm's, the Hans Christian Andersen, Perrault's, and some folk tales. So I'm going to refer to the guidebook to let you know exactly which fairy tale each of the major arcana corresponds to as I go through them. The Fool is Jack and the Beanstalk. The Magician is Aladdin with vines and grapes. That's the plant featured in the card. They're pretty recognizable. Then we have the High Priestess. This is the Old Woman in the Woods with mugwort. Beautiful, beautiful artwork. Then we have the Empress. The fairy tale is the Elder Bush with elderberry as a featured plant. Some of them are more popular than others. I have to be honest with you. I probably know most of them, but some of them I really need to refer to an actual fairy tale book to learn more about it. And that's actually, this is a great aspect of this kind of themed, fairy tale themed tarot. It will inspire people to pick up a book from the shelf and actually read. And maybe also share it with a younger audience, since this deck is absolutely appropriate for a younger readership. Then we have the Emperor. The fairy tale is the Emperor's New Clothes, and the plant is the fern. Bright, vivid colors. They're even more enhanced because of the glossy texture of the cards. Then we have the Hierophant with Alice in Wonderland, and the plant is the Amanita muscaria. Then we have the Lovers, white as milk, red as blood, and the plant is, the fruit is the pomegranate. Sorry about pronunciation. This, for example, is a fairy tale that I wasn't really familiar with. Now, it happens that in the guidebook, and probably we'll use this card as a way to show how the meaning of the cards are written in the guidebook. In this tale, love drives all the action. The impossible becomes possible as two narrative cycles, one male and one female, come to completion. First, the king searches for his beloved, then the pomegranate woman dies and is reborn, thanks to the fruit. The card of the Lovers signifies male-female duality and the contemplation of identity, which can be non-binary and include the whole spectrum of possibilities between the two polarities. The pomegranate symbolizes fertility, love, passion, prosperity, and good fortune. It prompts you to follow the path that is right for you and make your wishes come true. This card embodies the energy of love and attraction, but also the need to make decisions leading to greater responsibilities in life. When you encounter this card, it's time to open your heart to the other and find a balance between the parts that encompass you. Beautiful write-up. For those of you who prefer to see keywords for a very quick glance at the meaning of the cards, unfortunately, this guidebook doesn't feature those. Doesn't feature the keywords, main keywords for quick reference. Then we have the Chariot with Puss in Boots, and the plant is the wheat. And then we have Strength, the Princess and the Pea, and the plant featured is the pea. The Hermit is the shining fish, and the plant that is featured is the sage. Beautiful cards. It's probably one of my favorite. In this Italian fairy tale, a lonely farmer goes into the forest to chop wood. He meets a mysterious character who gives him a shining fish that brings the farmer prosperity and turns it into a beacon for fishermen. Thus, the fisherman begins to hide his treasures, first under a pile of manure, then under some ash, and finally buried in the ground. The hiding place could be accessed by making a descent inward. This is the path of the hermit who requires solitude in order to find himself, while the light of his lanterns recalls the glow of the fish that has become a guide for others as well. This is the case when one knows oneself and may aspire to redemption. For this reason, the plant referenced is the sage, forever associated with healing and salvation as hinted at by the plant's very name. The card of the hermit asks you to traverse the void without fear, to find your inner light and attain enlightenment. And we have the Wheel of Fortune with the poor man and the rich man, and the plant featured is the clover. Now, while this deck is based on the Rider-Waite-Smith system, doesn't share with the traditional system the symbology. So although the meaning, the names of the archetypes, the meaning of the archetypes have been preserved in this deck, in this fairy tale themed deck, the symbology is different. So this might be a deal breaker for new readers who are starting that system and need the traditional Rider-Waite symbology. They need to rely on that symbology to learn and memorize the meanings of the cards. This is the Justice card. The fairy tale is the poor man and the rich man, and the plant is the clover. The Hangman is the wild swans, and the plant is the nettle. This is a tale by Hans Christian Andersen. Then we have the Death card. Oh, something is amiss. Sorry. I picked 2 cards at a time. This is the Hangman, Sleeping Beauty. And the plant is bramble. Then we have Death. The wolf woman, and the comfrey is the plant. Temperance with sweet porridge, and the plant is the tea plant, Camellia sinensis. The devil is the fairy tale of the red shoes, and Belladonna is the plant featured. The Tower, Snow White, and of course the plant or fruit features is the apple. Then we have the Star, Cinderella, with the Star of Bethlehem. We have the Moon with Rapunzel, and the flower plant is the Rampion Bellflower. We have the Sun. The fairy tale associated with it is Rumpelstiltskin, and the flower is Helichrysum. And then we have Judgment with the Piper of Hamelin with the mint. And finally, the last major arcana, the World, with the Wizard of Oz, and the flower is the lotus. Gorgeous artwork. I think that the themes, lessons, and meanings of each of those fairy tales makes absolute sense with the traditional meaning associated with the major arcana. Only problem, as I said before, for new readers or for those who are used to the RWS system, is that the symbology is completely different. Then we have the minor arcana. Now, the structure of the minor arcana is pretty interesting too, and requires a little bit of attention and probably also a knowledge of the fairy tales. as well. The minor arcana, the everyday life matters, the mundane, so to speak, follow the traditional suits, and each suit corresponds to a plant and a specific fairy tale. So the depictions, the symbolism of each of these cards does not follow the typical RWS symbolism. Rather, each card devotes a scene, an important moment from a fairy tale they're based on. We start with the wands, and the fairy tale associated with the fire element is Hansel and Gretel, and the plant is the calendula. So this is the Ace of Wands, the Two of Wands, the Three of Wands, the Four of Wands. So each minor arcana is a sequence from that fairy tale. This is the Five of Wands. In some cases, it will be very easy to make a connection between the traditional, let's say, imagery of the RWS and the images and the artwork in this deck. In some other situations, it will be a little bit more difficult. This is the Six of Wands, the Seven of Wands, the Eight of Wands, the Nine of Wands, and the 10. So this element, the element of fire, the suit of wands, is all about creative energy, courage, and determination in the face of challenges and obstacles. And the calendula is the symbol of hearth and protection of children. So we can see how the children are the main protagonists in this specific suits. And their resourcefulness and their ability to find creative solutions to problems and challenges. When it comes to the court cards, each of the court cards, each archetype corresponds to a character in that fairy tale, and each of them is associated with a different plant. So we have the Page of Wands. This is Hansel, and the flower is the sunflower. Then we have the Knight of Wands, which is Gretel with the helichrysum. Then we have the Queen of Wands, the witch, associated with cinnamon. And the King of Wands, Hansel and Gretel's father, associated with laurel. Then we move into swords, and the suit of the mind, the element of air, the suit of communication, strategic thinking, justice, ethics, but also loss and pain and suffering, is associated with Sleeping Beauty. And the plant association is the bramble and rose. This is the Ace of Swords, the Two of Swords. So as I said before, each minor arcana in each of the suits represent a specific moment or scene from the fairy tale. The Five of Swords, Six of Swords. The fact that cards are borderless is simply lovely. It showcases more of this beautiful artwork, and I love also the way that these little banners here featuring the number and the name of the suit is very pleasant to the eye. It doesn't clash with the rest of the artwork. Eight of Swords, Nine of Swords, 10 of Swords. Because of the structure of the minor arcana, I would really recommend using this deck for pulls, for spreads of a very limited amount of cards, at least in the beginning, like one pull, two cards, like situation and obstacle, or situation and advice, or situation and outcome, or maximum three cards, a three-card spread, maybe for a past, present, future, body, mind, and soul. That kind of spread, because I believe that using, for example, this kind of deck with this specific structure in a large spread, like let's say a Celtic cross, might be a little confusing, at least at the beginning. Page of Swords. We have the crayfish as a character from the Sleeping Beauty fairy tale, and the flower associated with it is the dandelion. The Knight of Swords with the prince, and the plant is thyme. Queen of Swords, Rosamund, associated with mint. And King of Swords is the king, associated with yarrow. If you are a connoisseur of plants and association to qualities, powers, meanings, maybe that might be a good angle for you for the interpretation of the card. If you look at the plant rather than the rest of the artwork, or let's say the traditional meaning of that card, that could be an interesting angle to use for the interpretation of the cards. Then we are in the cups. The cup suit is associated with the goose and the girl at the well, and the flower is the lotus flower. So we are in the element of water, symbol of emotions, feelings, love, and emotional connection. Love is the central theme of this fairy tale. I'm not really familiar with it, and the guidebook in the Minor Arcana does, and I will show you that, doesn't really offer a good synthesis, a good summary of the fairy tale the wands or the suits are associated with. So under that aspect, I find it a little bit more challenging or lacking for me. Lotus is the symbol of spirituality, purity, triumph, and rebirth and transformation in the face of challenges. So we have the Ace of Cups, the Two of Cups, the Three of Cups. So in the Major Arcana, if you look at the guidebook, there is a little bit of a more information about the fairy tale each of the arcana is linked to. But it's not the case with the Minor Arcana. There's less information. So if you don't know the fairy tale, I would recommend grabbing a nice book and reading it to help you make connections between the archetype and the salient moments of the fairy tales they're connected to. Five of Cups. This is pretty much similar to a traditional RWS, with this person here crying and looking, focusing on the waste, on the spilled cups, rather than focusing on the ones that are still right side up. 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. And then we have the Page of Cups. This is the princess of the story, and the plant associated to it is the viola. The Knight of Cups. Associated with the aloe vera. I'm not sure who's the character in this scene depicted in this court card. Then we have the old woman, the Queen of Cups, with the water lilies. And then we have the King of Cups with the willow, the weeping willow tree. Really nice. And then we are in the Pentacles. The fairy tale is Little Thumb, and the botanical association is the pomegranate flower. So we are in the element of earth, material world, self-worth, mother nature and her gifts, abundance, prosperity, security, everything related to work and practicalities. The pomegranate is a symbol of abundance, so I totally see the connection with this plant for this suit. Ace of Pentacles, Two of Pentacles, Three of Pentacles, Four of Pentacles, Five of Pentacles, Six of Pentacles, Seven of Pentacles, Eight of Pentacles, beautiful card, 9, and 10. This is probably the closest to the traditional RWS. Now for the core cards, we have a little thumb as the page with the wild carrot. The Knight of Pentacles is the little bird, and the plant featured is the ginger. The Queen of Pentacles is the ogress with the magnolia flower. And the King of Pentacles is the ogre associated with patchouli. So this was the deck. As I said, I find it exquisite when it comes to artwork. The association of major arcana with the specific fairy tale. I think it's really well done. The connection makes absolute sense. I like that there is also a botanical angle for the interpretation of the cards, because each card, each suit, each major arcana has an association, a connection with a plant. So if you're a connoisseur of that, or if you would like to explore that connection between plants, flowers, fruits, and their qualities, that would be also an interesting way to read the cards. As I said before, for the minor arcana, things get a little more complicated, and it's up to you how much you want to invest time and energy in learning this system. Certainly, on the other side of the coin, this is actually a great thing. The fact that some of the less known fairy tales for me were like a prompt, a stimulus to go ahead and grab a book at the library and read and learn more about that fairy tale. So let's take a look at the guidebook more in detail. It's a pretty guidebook with the color pictures. We have the introduction, an explanation of how each of the manners and the suits have an association with a specific fairy tale and a plant. It will also give you a detailed association of court cards and characters from the stories and flowers. Then we are in the major arcana. As I showed you before, there are no keywords for a quick reference, but there is a big colored illustration. There is the main meaning. They will give you also main paragraph. They will give you also some details about the fairy tale, and there's a final thought here. This is the same for all the major arcana. They all have a full page illustration. Then when we get into the minor arcana, we have a smaller picture, a thumbnail. We have a main paragraph with the final, let's say, lesson and moral and teaching from the card, but not a detailed or more information about the fairy tale. For example, for Hansel and Gretel, which we know is the fairy tale that we will see throughout all the pips in the wand suit. The suit of wands symbolizes the element of fire as well as energy, passion, and creativity. The Ace of Wands in particular signifies a new beginning made up of adventures and opportunities that may arrive unexpectedly. It's the initial spark of a project, an idea, or a relationship that is about to blossom. The card carries great inner strength alongside the confidence and determination needed to face challenges and obstacles. It asks you to explore new domains and embrace the unknown courageously. You're at the beginning of your adventure and you see a light in the wood. Follow it. This is the time to be daring. So, as you can tell, this paragraph doesn't tell you much about the fairy tale itself. I know that Hansel and Gretel is probably one of the most popular, and only if you live under a rock you probably don't know what the plot of the this fairy tale is. But it would have been nice anyway to incorporate some more informations, at least to help the readers understand what exactly is happening in this particular sequence of the fairy tale that has been chosen and associated to this particular card. I mean, I think that I find this useful to some extent. You're at the beginning of your adventure. We see the two kids here following the light, and you see a light in the woods. Follow it. This is the time to be daring. Let's take, for example, a court card from another, from the Cups suit. The Queen of Cups, the old lady. The Queen of Cups symbolizes devoted care and unconditional love. She's empathetic and compassionate. She listens, is emotionally supportive, and creates a safe environment in which you can express your feelings. When she appears, she asks you to access your emotions and practice unconditional love, kindness, and compassion for yourself and others. By following the Queen's loving guidance, you will become more aware and have a deeper connection to love in all its forms. Embrace your emotions and allow them to flow freely. The old woman in the story is a powerful and kind witch who knows how to listen and heal. Trust her and seek her within yourself. You might have to depend on the guidebook, at least from the beginning, more than you normally do with a tarot deck whose structure and symbolism you're more familiar with. But nonetheless, it's a beautiful deck, and I think it's very clever in the way it's been done. Let's see if there are any other information here. We have the usual before consulting the tarot, deck preparation, and sample spreads. We have a card a day, which I would recommend to learn how to use this deck, to get to know it. Then we have your birth card and year card, the 3-card spread with current situation, obstacle and development. And then we have from the heart of the forest and fairy tale spread, which is the most interesting one, with the 5 cards. The first card represents the main character, the second card the magical object, the mystery challenge, and the fateful encounter, and the happy ending. So let's lay down a few cards and take a look at, I'll shuffle the deck. As I said, very sturdy cards. A little difficult to shuffle that way for me because the cards are stiff and my hands are small. Probably this is easier. Let's cut the deck in 3. And let's pull a few cards. We have the 6 of Cups, the Moon. We have a full moon in Capricorn today as I record this video. The Star. Then we have the 5 of Cups here, and the 4 of Cups. Of course, I haven't shuffled the cards well, but I do love the sequence of these 3 cards. At the heart of the matter, there is a connection with your past, connection with memories, with people that come from your ancestral home, from your place of birth, anything that makes you happy. We come from a place of fears and doubts, but we land on the Star card, which brings hope, gratifications, dreams coming true, clarity. All right, so this was my flip through and review of the Woodland Fairy Tale Tarot Magic, Folklore and Plants by Cecilia Lattari and Giulia Varetto. Let me know what your thoughts are. I'll meet you in the comment section. Please like, share, subscribe, leave your constructive feedback. And until I see you next time, many blessings.